Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel and podcast. We are back with another match preview. They are coming thick and fast at the business end of the league. This time, we're going to be taking a look towards Monday night's home fixture against Leicester City. I'm Scott. I'm your host for this one. And this week, I am joined by Ian and Joe. Joe, you're in Newcastle, mate.
Mm-hmm.
You went to the match last night.
Yes,
Have you come down from cloud nine, or are you still surfing that cloud?
Mate, I'm bloody knackered. It was one hell of a night, man. Yeah, I was in the strawberry corner, and the whole night was just impeccable, man. The first half, we made it look like a training exercise against Brighton. It was true. I know we've been very, very good with our pressing and across the season, but I've never seen it like it was last night. We were relentless, and it got to about, I would say, maybe 65 minutes before we even started to tire. And that's when we kind of let Brighton back into the game. Obviously, it wasn't helped by Willock getting an injury, but, these things do happen. However, we're now in a fantastic position to hopefully just get that one little step over the line, and we're that close.
Yeah, so 3 points is all we need, Ian. You and I were watching from the comforts of our own homes. We weren't together, but we were watching from our own homes. Are you still buzzing? Because I'm still buzzing. I'm knackered like Joe is, but I'm buzzing off. I'm being knackered. It's weird. I can't quite process this all yet. But how are you anyway, mate?
Yeah, good. Similar to Joe, I just spent watched the Newcastle match. Then, to a complete side note, turned onto the Chef Webb game. And usually I'll go through YouTube, look at the interviews and stuff like that, and the reaction on Twitter and stuff like that. I didn't do that until after the Chef Webb game, so it was late night for me as well. But then again today, in the quietness of my day, just put the highlights on. So I've watched the extended highlights about 3 times. I've watched the match cam, watched Sky Sports', just because you just want to drink it in. Like Joe said, it was such a good performance, and particularly coming off I wouldn't say terrible performances, but the results have been slightly disappointing. And I just thought yesterday as well, it was a little bit of a different kind of performance. It seemed very, very regimented, whereas usually we're very gung-ho, swashbuckling, 100 mile an hour. But I thought yesterday it was almost like a chess match at times, in terms of when to press and how to press. And like Joe said, we just carried out the game plan to absolute perfection. Not going to lie, my nerves were very, very frayed after they got back in it. But I should never really doubt Eddie Howe in Newcastle United.
Not anymore. Not anymore. We've turned that corner of doubt. We did do a live match reaction last night. Chris and I, we just needed to get that out because I think people just need to process and digest as soon as possible. And we did that. So once you've finished watching this video, if you want to see that reaction, it is available on the channel. So go ahead and find that on the feed. But we'll get started. Like I said, we're taking now. All eyes are towards Monday night, under the lights, St. James's Park against Leicester City. But before we get into that, boys, as always, and for my last time this season, because I will not be here for the next match preview because I'm on my hollybobs. Well, actually, I'm not when the match is on, but for the week I will be, the Chelsea match it is. But like I've said, the Gallowgateshots match preview is brought to you by Magpin. Magpin are your go-to site for high-quality, unofficial enamel pin badges of Newcastle players, legends, and retro kits. Their website, as always, is magpinbadges.bigcartel.com. At least I hope that's their website, and I hope they haven't changed it because I've never checked, but they haven't told us any differently.
You've just recited that in your sleep now, don't you?
Do you know what it is? I still have to read it out every week. But like I've mentioned, Leicester City, Monday night, another home fixture, 8 p.m. kickoff live on Sky. Joe, Leicester aren't doing very well this season. They're currently sitting in 19th in the Premier League on 30 points. That is an accumulation of 8 wins, 6 draws, and 22 defeats. But they do have the best goal difference down there. It's still pretty bad. It's -18. But given all of that, and given how I think we've already beat them twice this season, I want to say 3 times.
Twice.
With the cup,
Twice.
it was only a single leg, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
What are your confidence levels going into this one?
I think their goal difference is only -18 because they haven't played us yet.
Yeah, probably.
Listen, I'm probably going to get a bit cocky here, but listen, I honestly think that this is probably on paper the easiest fixture that we could have going into the penultimate game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Leeds down there fighting, they've taken 2 points from us. Southampton, I mean, they give it a good go, especially first half when they came to us. And I mean, yeah, even Everton for the first half put up a good fight. But I've been looking at some of Leicester's performances recently, and they are really looking like a team without a plan, without a structure. And I'm looking at their back four here, right? And I'm not joking. Wilson is going to have an absolute field day with them. Their centre-backs, Valfasi, the Poundland Colaccini, can't mark anyone. He always seems out of position. And I just think that Wilson is so good at popping into those little spaces that he could really have some luck against them. Now, obviously, the big issue that we have is that we've got about 1,000,001 injuries in midfield right now, and we could have to rely on, youngsters such as Anderson to come in. And don't get me wrong, he's done well when he has come in, and I do expect that if he does, he'll do a pretty decent job. I think really I just got to hope that Joe Linton's knock isn't too bad, because at least we'd have him and Bruno, So it's confident, as you can tell. Mm-hmm. It can't not be. It can't not be, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, Iain, isn't it, with Leicester? What I've seen of them recently, it looks like they've already accepted their fate. And I know that's horrible to say, but they're just not putting in the performance. And they've got the players. They've got some really good players on that side. Mm-hmm. I think they've had a fair few injuries, though. And I don't think that's really helping them. We'll come to the injuries in just a bit. But obviously, given how we did against Leeds, is there any doubt in your mind at all that we could maybe, this could be a banana skin? We could maybe slip up at the last hurdle? Or do you think it's going to be plain sailing?
There's a couple of factors that I think we need to take into consideration. Yes, we're on cloud 9. And as fans, I think we've got every right to be. And I think partly Eddie Howe, as much as he's as cool and calm and collected, I think even he's probably got it in mind, one more win, depending on obviously results tomorrow, which we might touch on. One more win will guarantee with Champions League football, which is absolutely absurd considering. That being said, obviously I was very confident going into the Leeds game, and we didn't get the 3 points there. But like you said, I watched the Leicester game against Liverpool, and for the first, I'd say 15, 20 minutes, I thought Leicester looked to give it a go. Mm-hmm. But as soon as sort of they ran out of ideas, or I can't remember what minute the Liverpool first goal came in, but it just knocked the stuffing out of them, and they lost all belief. And like you said, they've got really, really good players, the likes of Tielemans, Maddison, Harvey Barnes, who I really, really like. They've got good players, but they don't look like a team, and they look completely shot of confidence. So I think given everything, and obviously this is our last home game of the season, so the crowd is going to be massively up for it. They know what's on the line as well, which is win it in its Champions League. So I think that'll play into it. And I think if you get the first goal, I think the likelihood is the floodgates will open.
Yeah, obviously Leicester have had a manager change, and I don't think it's done anything for them. I don't even think they've had that new manager bounce, Joe. There are some injuries, like we mentioned before, so I'll rattle through the list. Obviously, Justin is out. I think he's been out for a little while, but they've got Soyuncu, Iheanacho, Dewsbury Hall, Vestergaard, Bertrand, and Ward. I think Soyuncu and Iheanacho, that's hard to say together, but there you go. I think both of those are 50-50, and it's like a late fitness test. But I'm looking at Soyuncu there as a big gap in their defense. He's not a world beater, but he's solid. Like he's a good, if he was one of our defenders, he'd be a good backup to have, to maybe bring on if needs be. Obviously, we know about James Maddison, we know about Tielemans, and we know about Harvey Barnes. Are there any other players on that Leicester side that, you look at and you think they could cause a bit of trouble?
I mean, yeah, I think you've pretty much just listed them off. All the ones that really stand out for me. They like taking. I mean, they've got some really good players that can take long shots, like good long shots. Like you just said, Harvey Barnes and Madison. They've got some quite accurate shots on them, and if we don't get the press quite right from outside our box, give them a little bit of space, it could actually be a bit of a problem. Set pieces as well. I mean, like you said, Madison, we know what he's like at set pieces.
Yeah.
Harvey Barnes can whip a good cross in, and it can only take something like that to really dislodge us. So I would say that likely it's probably going to be one of those players. I mean, Tielemans is someone we've been linked to, quite a lot in the last couple of years, and it's a player that I would take in a heartbeat. I think I'm pretty sure he's out of contract at the end of the season.
Yeah, he is.
Potentially,
yeah. So it's someone we could look at, especially if they get relegated. Going on to the injuries, Danny Ward has been great for them. People thought when Schmeichel left that would be a major issue, but I think he had a bit of a shaky start, but then he stepped up to the plate and he's actually got them quite a few clean sheets early on. But with them having a dislocated finger, I think it is, obviously he's not going to be making a return. And their backup keeper, he has pulled up some good saves. I was watching the highlights of some of their recent games, and especially against Fulham and Liverpool, he did pull up some good saves. But hey, listen, I think if we keep pressing them, I think it's going to be like the Brighton game where we won't even give them much of a sniff. But we have to be careful because, listen, Jamie Vardy, we know his pace. I know he's getting on, but he's still got pace. And if we press up high, leave a lot of space at the back, all it takes is one good through ball, and it could leave us in danger.
Well, you've seen that, just to jump in there, you've seen that with Vardy in the cup game. Granted, he didn't score. On another day, he had 2 or 3 opportunities where he could have. Jamie Vardy would have finished them. But like you say, I think that's the one thing that it doesn't scare us, but it's just something that you need to bear in mind. That you've seen how easy Brighton passed through for us for their goal yesterday. All it takes is and they've got players that can sort of put those balls in, you say, like Tielemans, like Madison, and we aren't very quick at the back. And
that's it. Yeah.
It's just something that you just need to be cautious of, because you say you like 2-0 up and you give them a sniff of that, similar to the Brighton situation yesterday. Like I say, they could get a resurgence from that. So I think, to be honest, because of what's riding on the game, and then just how professional and sort of focused Eddie Howe is, I can't see him letting the players' mentality drop and sort of focus. I cannot see it.
No, but you're right though. I remember there were at least 2 or 3 occasions where Brighton made like a really good run between our centre backs and no one picked him up. But then we were just fortunate that whoever was on the ball at the time didn't quite see the pass or see the run. And I feel like with Leicester, they're so conditioned to getting those through balls to Jamie Vardy that those players might actually pick up on those more better than what Brighton did. So yeah, you're right. We've just got to make sure that we don't leave too much space between the centre backs.
It's interesting this season with Jamie Vardy because obviously I don't think he's scored many, or maybe he's only a single goal this season, but he has got 4 assists to his name. So he seems like he's more getting into those positions, and maybe he's, because he probably doesn't have the legs that he once had. He's probably getting there a bit later where he can't take that finish, but he's got players backing him up and coming into the box where he can, maybe square it or knock it down. Obviously, James Maddison is probably their catalyst. 9 assists and 10 goals. I think Harvey Barnes is on 12 goals as well. Another name that doesn't really get mentioned with Leicester is Daka, who I think is their new. I think did they sign him in the summer, or was it the summer before?
I think possibly. I remember he played in Europe for them, so I would have said maybe the summer before, maybe.
It was the summer before, but he's on 4 goals and 4 assists, so kind of getting up there. And then Iain, who we've said is injured, probably won't feature, but he's on 5 goals and 4 assists. So they've got plenty of options when it comes to both scoring and setting them up. And that's one of the things that, if you look at their style of play, the kind of well, I don't want to say tiki-taka football, Joe, but it's short passes, make the opposition work. They're not wanting to play a long ball and hoof it upfield. It's well played. They do take a lot of shots from outside the box, which I think has been sometimes our downfall. We saw with the Odegaard goal, didn't close him down. He got a goal, and we've seen it, throughout the season where, we're expecting a cross and a shot comes in, and it, it goes in. When you've got players like James Maddison and Harvey Barnes who can take those shots, got to be careful. We've got to maybe look at closing those players down a bit better on Monday night.
Yeah. It's funny because Brighton last night, as we record, tried a similar thing. They were trying to play it out from the back, short passes. And you know what? I do have to admire that to an extent. They could have done what Leeds did and just, play a lot of long balls, second balls, route one, and try and disrupt the play. But they did try and play their game. But our pressing was so relentless that they were rattled, and their passing accuracy and all the rest of it suffered because of it. You only have to look at Leicester's game against Fulham recently to see how a high press can dismantle them really quickly. If you watch the highlights of that, you saw the likes of Willian, etc., really pushing up just outside their box, and I'm pretty sure that's what got them maybe 2 of their 5 goals that they scored, because they had about 2 or 3 players around them, again, very similar to how we press Brighton and how we press a lot of teams. So you have to think that's going to be the play. As if they try and play their game, we've just got to do ours. And if we continue as we did on Thursday, then you have to think it's going to be successful.
Yeah, well, hopefully, we'll turn over to Newcastle now and talk about ourselves. Joe's mentioned that, Ian, about the high press. Obviously, it's quite a short turnaround in number of days. Players are going to be tired. Lot of battle scars from Thursday night. Quite a long injury list. We'll come on to that in a minute. But are we going to have the legs in us to maybe keep that intensity up like we saw against Brighton? Do you think it should be bread and butter that a footballer should be able to play 2 games in the space of 4 or 5 days and be able to perform as equal between them both? Or do you think there will be a bit of fatigue kicking in?
It's a bit of both. I think, given, and I always say how much money they're on, they should be able to play under gunfire. But physiologically, I know they are elite humans, but there will be an element of fatigue. You've seen that throughout the season, just how intense we play. And they always come back to it. I think Eddie Howe says intensity is our identity. So there will be an element of fatigue. That's one thing to bear in mind, is we've had 4 days to recover. Leicester have had, I think they've played last Sunday. So they'll have 9 days rest. They'll have a lot of time to train, a lot of time to figure out how to try and play against it. So there is that slight thing that people need to consider. But I think, again, just with the momentum from last night, it just feels like a massive, massive hurdle. Because I'll be honest, I didn't expect it to beat Brighton. I thought maybe he's got a point. But I just think you've seen that full time. And after the 4th goal, the reactions of everyone, the coach and staff, it just looks like it's almost there. It's just one more push. That's all we've got to do. And like I said, and again, we might touch on this, it mightn't even be 3 points that we need. Obviously, you always want to go into a game wanting 3 points. Mm-hmm. But who knows, based on what happens with Liverpool and Villa tomorrow, that might not be the case. And similarly, with Leicester, it could work for them based on the results over the weekend that they need to win. That could play into our hands. We could get in behind them. So, again, football's a very strange sport. It can, situations can turn just like that. So I don't want to go into it just expecting to waltz it in 3 points. I think it will be a bit cagey at times, but given the momentum that we've got, like I say, just that one final push, I think we'll be all right to just leave everything out on the field and hopefully, like I say, qualify for the top 4.
Yeah, given what Ian said about the Liverpool game, and we all saw, how Leicester pretty much self-imploded once that first goal went in and, kind of lost their ideas, Joe. Is the first goal going to be the key component here for Newcastle? If we can well, maybe if it's not even just an early goal, if we can just get a goal and throw them off their game, do you see the floodgates opening and it being, another 4-5 past a weak side who, could potentially run out of ideas when they concede?
Yeah, I think the first goal is going to be really important for the crowd's sake more than anyone else.
Yeah.
It's going to be... I don't think it's going to start a nervy affair because I think everyone's going to go into it with a lot of confidence. But then as time goes on, I mean, obviously, we're talking about this assuming that Liverpool beat Villa and that we need the 3 points. As the game will go on, the longer we go without being in a winning position, you have to think that, nerves will start to kick in because no one wants to go to Stamford Bridge on the last day of the season needing a win. Yeah. So really, you want to get it done on Monday. So yeah, you're right. So for early goal to calm the nerves. And hey, listen, I think Leicester would snap your hand off for a point here. I know that they really, really need 3, but I think depending on other results, if they can take a point to go into the last game of the season, still within a chance of saving themselves from relegation, they'll probably think that a point is enough.
Yeah.
But like you just said, if we get that first goal, that entire game plan for them goes down the drain, and hopefully the floodgates will open. They'll start releasing space. It's probably quite similar to how Liverpool dealt with them. Actually, to be fair, I don't think that I've probably given Leicester enough credit so far on this video because I remember I watched the game against Liverpool and they did actually start really well. To be fair to them, the first 10 minutes they started strong. They were pressing, but then Liverpool got that first goal and it was pretty much over from there. And it's down to their defense, really. That's the thing. Their attack is strong in a lot of areas, but their defense is where they really get let down. So I just think that we're such a possession-based team, especially at home, that you have to think we'll probably get an early goal. We created enough chances on Thursday that it should have been more than 2 before half time. And, Brighton are a very good side. So you think against a lesser defense, those should go in. So I would expect that, we should obviously aim to get an early goal. I mean, obviously you want to do that all the time, but, get that early goal, calm the nerves, and, and don't let that game plan last for too long.
Well, one thing we have had before this video, which is a novelty, it's only happened a couple of times this season, Iain, is an Eddie Howe press conference. Obviously, there's some injuries from the game on Thursday night. I'm not going to rattle through the long-term injuries that we know about and the players who are training with the under-21s, but I'll go through some of the new additions to that list. Joe Linton's on the list, Kieran Trippier. We saw Joe Willock go off. You add to that Jacob Murphy and Sean Longstaff. That middle of the park, it's looking like it's just going to be Bruno. That's obviously a big worry. Obviously, it won't just be Bruno, and I'm paraphrasing there quite a lot, but it is a worry that the 2 companions that Bruno's had throughout most of the season, in Joe Linton and Joe Willock, have both. Well, Joe Willock's definitely not going to be playing. I think that's given how we went, and Joe Linton's going to be touch and go. Are we worried that these injuries could maybe be our downfall at the last hurdle?
I still think it's a very, 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 very difficult one. And guess what? I'm glad I'm not Eddie Howe. I think, to be honest, as much as Joe Linton, there was a sort of he was described as touch and go. I think he'll be fine. I think he will make it. Again, I think just the upturn of Joe Linton, he wants to play football. He doesn't want to hide away. And given, like I say, what's on the line in terms of Champions League football, he'll want to be a part of that team, that squad that gets Champions League football for the first time in 20 years. It'll be interesting to see, however, if for some reason he doesn't make it, what will happen, because let's face it, we've only got Anderson, who could fit in at centre mid. We've played with 3 centre midfielders, would only have 2. Bruno, we all know, has been sort of carrying a little bit of a knock with his ankle. Although I thought yesterday it looked like he was back to his better version of himself. So it will be interesting, but I think Joe Linton will be fine. I think he's just a I was going to swear, but I'm not allowed. He's a tank. And I think momentum, adrenaline will keep him through. Same with Bruno. And I think we'll have seen Elliot Anderson make a couple of cameo appearances. I think he probably slot in. Whether that changes the dynamic of the midfield a little bit, who knows? And like I say, realistically, they've only got 3 days now to 2 really, Saturday and Sunday, because they're not. I wouldn't imagine that they would go through anything serious on Monday, but they've got a very short turnaround to figure out the dynamic in the middle of the park. That being said, it completely depends on your wide options as well. If he wants to go 4-4-2 and put Isak and Wilson up front, we do have options, but we are very, very stretched to the limit. But I would, if Joe Linton's okay, I can see him sticking with a midfield three and putting Anderson in.
Yeah, I think Joe, one thing we have to bear in mind is obviously Eddie Howe's played this style of football for most of the season, but it's not his only card up his sleeve. You know, this formation that he's playing in, he must have a plan B. He must have a look. If we get injuries or if, we're in games where we need to switch it up, we could maybe do a 5 at the back or go 4-4-2 or do a 4-3-1-2 or whatever whatever he wants to do. Like there's got to be ways that he he's not just a one-trick pony. He's not just going to have this one formation that he has to play. Eddie Howe will have multiple tactics up his sleeve, and I don't think he would have not have drilled this into the side. You're not just going to play with one style for the whole season and be like, oh, we're out of players, right? We need to switch to the style. They're going to play with multiple formations. Is there the question I've got for you, Joe, is there an argument at all to move Fabian Schär up into a defensive midfield role and have Dan Burn and Sven Botman as the 2 centre-backs with Target? I think Shaw's done that for Switzerland a couple of times.
Did he do it under Bruce?
I don't know how well he's done, but I think he has done it. But if push comes to shove, is that a plan B?
I think, mate, I was going to say that's a plan Z, mate. Oh, I tell you what, I actually thought my eyes deceived me on Thursday, but when I looked back, it was true. Matty Target was playing centre mid in the last few minutes of that game, and I was like, because I remember I was watching it live, and I was like, "Who the hell's that?" And I was like, "Is that Matty Target?" And yeah, it turns out it was. But I suppose that's one of those things where injuries and all that, and it's the last few minutes, so give him a run out. Right.
Maybe
in terms of
I was trying to get a Joe Linton out of Matty Target. Like, put him in midfield.
What we need, Joe Linton. Well, exactly. We'll just stick every player in a left side LCM position and then just watch them flourish.
Yeah.
In terms of the Schär thing, right? No, probably not. I don't think we're that bad. People are forgetting about Gordon and the fact that he can play in that centre mid position. His first game for us, well, his first home game. He was playing on the left side of midfield and sort of interlinking. So he did quite well there. And that's, it's definitely an option. Obviously, he's not quite the ready-made player that we want him to be. But, if needs must, I reckon that Gordon could, he may get a start. Obviously, it depends on the Joe Linton knock. I think Joe Linton will be fine. I agree with Iain. I think if it was worse, if it was to the point where he couldn't play on Monday, I think we'll probably know by now. I think we would have heard like something. But yeah, so in that, if Joe Linton and Bruno are fine, then really you've only got that one spot to fill. Likely Elliot Anderson, I think, but then he'll probably share some time with just a bit more time with Gordon. I guess one thing that at least we're still blessed with is that we've got a lot of players coming back for wing positions. Obviously, St. Maximin's getting more time now. Miggy's back. Joe Linton can sort of play that interchange role if need be. So at least in that respect, we're okay. Although I do think that he'll probably stick with Isak and Wilson up front. Going a little bit off topic here, but I think in terms of the formation wise, hopefully we only have that one centre mid position to change. Willock out, Anderson in, and like I say, maybe then share those minutes with Gordon.
It's going to be interesting to see, like you've said, from an attacking point of view. Obviously, Jacob Murphy is out, which is he's been a good servant this season, and he's come off the bench and done his thing, and then he got his chance and he grasped it. It's a shame he got injured. But Miggy last night was back to the Mickey of earlier this season. He had an outstanding performance.
Unbelievable.
Maxi coming on, snapping ankles and sending shin pads flying, which was good to see. And even, Gordon got on the pitch. He didn't do much, but I think it was too late in the game for him to really
Dying
have an
minutes.
impact.
Yeah.
But we've got the players there. And obviously we've also got, like you've mentioned, Isak and Wilson, who, yet again, Isak was, even Jacob Murphy's calling him Mr. Spaghetti Legs now, if you saw in the match cam. Sometimes Isak just emerges with the ball when he's got a crowd of players around him, and I still don't know how he does it. But all good. Are we expecting, and I know, Joe, you've already said this, but Iain, are you expecting Isak and Wilson again? Do you think Eddie Howe, he daresn't drop Wilson because he's going for his 20 goals, and I don't think Karen Wilson would be very happy if he got dropped. Plus, he's on form. But do you think it's working with Isak on that left?
I wouldn't. I think definitely the Arsenal game was far too difficult to see if it worked. He's tried it against Leeds, and I think Chris was saying in the reaction he didn't think it worked as much, and I agree. Yesterday, again, I don't think it didn't work, but I don't think it's worked as well as when, say, Isak comes off the bench and links up with Wilson or vice versa. Don't get us wrong, they did very, very well. Pressed as a unit. Defensively, they did very well. And I think Isak did very well in terms of releasing Wilson for the fourth goal. So there was yesterday times when it looked like it worked very, very well. I think the jury's still out on that one for me. I don't think long term that going into next season, I don't think that will be the case. But for me, again, it depends on the injuries in midfield. I think if it is just that one centre midfield position that needs covered, I do think it will be a straight swap. Willock out, Anderson, and I think he will keep Isak and Wilson up top. But again, it's a short turnaround. You don't know how gassed they are. It could be that one of them can only manage half an hour. That is the benefit in sort of the forward positions out wide and up top. We do have options, but I would expect it to stay the same. Yeah, Isak and Wilson. And who knows? Again, this could be a game where, because I watched the Fulham game and there was times when there was a lot of space in behind Leicester's back four. It could be another good game for Isak to get in behind the defence and Wilson the same.
Yeah, run out of players, absolutely. We'll move on to our predictions because they've went so well for us entirely this season. Although I was right up until the very last couple of minutes yet again. I'd predicted 2-1, and it was 2-1 until Callum Wilson and Bruno decided to have a late party at the end of the game on Thursday. But Joe, mate, we'll come to you first. What are your predictions for this one?
I think we might get a rare clean sheet, and I think we're going to win 3-0. I think it's probably going to go very similar to the how the Brighton game started. We'll come at the traps very well. Yeah. They may have a couple of early attacks, similar, I suppose, West Ham away, where they started quite dangerous, West Ham, and then basically we'll get the first goal and dominate from there. It should be that way, given how we've played and our pressing and everything. So yeah, I reckon 3-0. Although I'm not being funny, it could be more. It could be 4 or 5.
Yeah,
it really could.
Yeah, Iain. I mean, goal difference probably isn't that big of a concern anymore. We added obviously a few more last night. What's your predictions?
I was going to say 3-0 as well, but I like a little bit of variety. No, like a little bit of variety. I think, given, yes, I get that it's a 4-day turnaround, which I've made the point of, but it's the last home game of the season. You win it, you Champions League football. I do think there'll be times when it does get a bit nervy, but I think we will get an early-ish goal. And I've seen Leicester. I mean, the shipped, I think, was 3 against Liverpool. And 5 against Fulham. Once that goal goes in, it tends to be their heads go down. So I'm going to go for an optimistic, not even an optimistic. I'm just going to go for a plain old 4-0 win.
A plain old standard average 4-0.
Nice, a standard average 4-0. I mean, it is for us. You know,
It is.
I mean,
It's baffling. It's
maybe
baffling. It is.
it's 4-1. Given the amount of clean sheets that we haven't been getting recently,
True.
we'll start the season. Yeah, whatever. Iain, I also believe Joey has a prediction. We've pre-recorded it because he does get a little bit camera shy. So we'll play that now.
I think it's going to be 3-0 and Kieran Trippier, Wilson and Isak are going to score.
So Littleton went with Joe. He went with a 3-0 win. A lot of 3-0 wins, really, that we've all predicted. He likes to be very specific with his predictions, though. So he's went Kieran Trippier. I don't think he said it in that video, but he told us that he thinks Kieran Trippier will score a free kick, which I'm sure, I think it was Matty said, it was either last night or today, that he hasn't scored a free kick since the Man City game, which is very surprising.
No, he hasn't.
He's also backed Isak to score and Callum Wilson to score as well. So I'm hoping it comes off for him. But he's just buzzing to be on the podcast. So yeah,
Nice.
Love it.
Nice. Well, I'm going to go. I was going to go 3-0 as well, but again, we'll change it a bit. Now we've had 2 and 3 because Ian, you were going to say 3-0, then you change it as well, and then it'll be 4 with me. I think
5.
I'm going to go for the same as the cup game. I think it'll be a 2-0 victory. I do think it'll take us a little while to break them down, just with the fatigue of us and with them probably not wanting to, concede too early. I still think it'll be first half. I think we'll score first in the first half, and then second half, it could be floodgates open. But I think Leicester will want to try and shut up shop, if anything, to protect that -18 goal difference, because that could come in handy for them last game of the season if they're not already dead and buried. They could want to keep that to a minimum, at least to a -20. So I think 2-0. But I also think we're going to go into this game not needing a win. If I'm being honest with you, I think I've said this for a while. I think Villa will take points off Liverpool, especially now Brighton have dropped points. Villa now are playing for that fifth and sixth spot, really. They're going to go all out against Liverpool, I think, and they might sneak a draw. They might even get a win. Villa have been very, very good this season. So I think it could be pressure off, or at least pressure eased a little bit, which might be a bit better for the crowd. We are also expecting a new display from more flags. They've put on Twitter today that there's a new surfer, and they've put boxes of whatever coming through. They've teased with so much, and that's nice. I don't want it being spoiled.
You know what it is, though?
It was.
I hate surprises, so I just want to know. But I'm sure whatever I don't know if any of them watch the videos, but I want to say a massive, massive thanks to Warflag. Literally, I remember I think the first game that they ever did was possibly Huddersfield in the Championship, and there was maybe about 50, 100 flags in the Strawberry Corner. To go from that to what they now put on is an absolute spectacle. And you can see, without sounding arrogant, you can see other clubs now looking and going, "Oh, we want to create that." So War Flags, take your hat off, because you've been absolutely immense. And whatever you've got planned for Leicester, I'm sure will be fitting for a Champions League side.
Maybe they've got a flag like what Feyenoord had.
Where it goes went all the way
the
around.
entire stadium. Yeah, looked like a big scarf. Yeah, maybe it's not. I don't know if our stadium is built like
Bruno all around.
Yeah, just loads of O's. Thanks, boys. It's been a good one. We'll wrap this one up. We will see you, everybody else, in the match reaction to the Leicester game on Monday night. Well, I won't, but people will. There will be people doing that. I don't know what's happening with Always Smiling Faces podcast, because obviously it's on Monday night, same time as Leicester. I don't even think Chris knows what's happening with that yet. So stay tuned to the social media channels to find out what we're doing with that. But if you like this video, scroll down from it, hit the little thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. It helps us get this video into the feeds of other Newcastle fans, and probably some Leicester ones too. If you want to become a subscriber to the channel, you can hit the little subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when new videos go live, the notification bell is right next to that subscribe button. You hit that and you'll get a little pop-up on your device of choice whenever we have new content. If you want to go one step further, we do have a membership program that is $2.99 a month. That gets you early access to these pre-recorded videos, exclusive access to certain videos as well, and also gets you access to the Telegram group. And if you're listening on audio, a 5-star rating is all that we ask for on Spotify, Apple, or whatever your podcast consumption of choice is. But before we go, Iain, your clock throughout this entire season has said 10-4.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you explain why you set it at 10-4.
I mean, I
at the
didn't
very
set it
start
at
of the season.
I didn't set it at 10-4. It just ran out at 10-4. But I just feel like it's at 4 o'clock because we have been destined. It's destiny that we will get top 4.
I will do you one better than that.
Oh,
If you look at the exact time, that says 11-4. Where did we finish last season? We finished 11th.
Wow.
We're going from 11
that is
to top 4.
That is just
It's been
written
on
in
the,
the
it's
stars.
been literally written on the wall this entire season, and we didn't even know it.
And everyone made fun that I couldn't afford batteries. It wasn't. I was just
We're
showing
still
you.
gonna do that, Iain.
I was just showing you
funny.
destiny.
That clock is destiny.
I didn't even.
That clock
if
needs to
we
be hung in the
finish in
studio.
third, this
Yeah,
is all
but
out
we're-
the window.
But it's top
Top
4
four.
is what
Oh,
we're
you're going
getting
top
at.
4. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Let us
Okay.
have that. Let's have
And
that.
also, right,
Maybe.
I've literally, I mean, we're really clutching at straws here, but I looked because it's got the Roman numerals, but then obviously it's got the minutes, and it's at the Roman numerals of 4, it's 20, and it's been 20 years since we've been in the Champions League. Oh, it's just the clock. It just tells all. Sorry to end like this, guys.
It's fine. It's like, there's a Jim Carrey movie, the number 47 or something?
Oh, number 23.
Number 23.
Good film.
You like
Good
Jim
film.
Carrey, and that you're going to end up with blue pen all over your face. But I think that's
Least-
a different Jim Carrey
At
movie.
least I'm not. At least I'm not Jim Carrey out of Dumb and Dumber with the bowl cut and the missing tooth.
That is true. Not yet.
We could
anyway.
look like that on Monday night though if we win.
Quite
Who knows how
potentially.
it'll go.
Yeah, who knows how it goes. Anyways, thanks everybody for watching. We will see you guys all in the next video. Thanks, Iain. Thanks, Joe. We will see you in the next one. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Cheers, everyone.